In other news now, a terrorist plot to overthrow the government of Laos may have Chico connections. The FBI says it has broken up the plot and charged 10 people. Agents say those people plan to buy missiles, mines, assault rifles, and other weapons to topple the Laotian government, the communist government there. Although no arrests have been made here in Chico, a search warrant was served at a home in North Chico.
A final agreement was reached to have the weapons sent later this week to remote regions of Thailand, which would then serve as staging areas for entering Laos. Once in Laos, a coup attempt would be launched to include blowing up governmental buildings and assassinating officials.
Now, those charged include a former Laotian military general who helped the CIA in Southeast Asia during the Vietnam War, as well as a former officer with the California National Guard. Prosecutors say the group was raising money to recruit a mercenary force and buy enough weapons to equip a small army, including anti-tank missiles and grenade launchers. Federal officials say search and arrest warrants were also served in cities of Stockton and Sacramento.
Incredible show of solidarity. Just a short while ago, on the steps behind me, there were nearly 1,000 Hmong community members, all rallying for the release of General Vang Pao, all pleading for his release on bail. A sea of white shirts and signs flooded the federal courthouse in Sacramento today. Hundreds of people demonstrated peacefully, among them 24-year-old Nyob Yang from Fresno. Their so-called father is a hero of the Hmong community, General Vang Pao. He was among 10 people arrested after authorities raided several locations. He allegedly masterminded a violent plot involving nearly $10 million worth of combat weapons to overthrow the communist government of Laos. Today, Pao supporters say they are united in the name of peace. They and defense attorneys are pleading with the judge to release the 77-year-old Pao to home detention. Pao faces a number of serious medical conditions, but in the end, the judge ruled Pao is a flight risk and a danger. The defense couldn't disagree more.
And the mere fact that he attended meetings does not make him dangerous. The mere fact that he has loyal followers does not make him dangerous.
Case Story 3 spoke to the general's son, Chi Vang. He wouldn't talk to us on camera, but he did tell me he's very disappointed about the decision. Supporters say they are frustrated, arguing that Pao helped the U.S. during the Vietnam War. Now, 2 other alleged conspirators had their bail hearings postponed. Meanwhile, June 18th has been the date set for the beginning of the preliminary hearing. Live here this evening, I'm Suzanne Fawn. Now back to you.
It really is an interesting story. Suzanne, thank you.
Very much so.
Now, some of you may not be. Laos is a Southeast Asian country with a population of about 6 million people. It's landlocked, tucked between Vietnam and Thailand, and that location has led to many of its political problems since it won its independence from France back in 1949. From 1960 through 1975, the Hmong fought for the U.S. against the communist surge in the region. 25,000 to 30,000 people were killed, and many of their homes and villages were destroyed. In 1975, Laos fell to the communists, and it continues to rank among the worst countries in the world for political and economic freedoms. Thousands of Hmong people fled to refugee camps, and they wound up in the U.S., Canada, France, and other nations.
Okay, David, and here's a timeline now of the alleged coup plot. Prosecutors say the conspirators had a 90-day plan that included assassinations. They called it Operation Popcorn, a comprehensive plan of action. Prosecutors say the plan called for a $28 million budget to pay mercenaries to carry out the plot. Prosecutors say the 11 men charged in the case wanted to bomb Laotian government buildings and shoot down military aircraft to overthrow the regime. All face life in prison if they're convicted.
Inside the courtroom, Vang Pao and 9 other men wore jail suits and handcuffs as they pled not guilty to charges they were plotting to use AK-47 rifles, Stinger missiles, and an army of mercenaries to try to overthrow the government in their homeland of Laos. Currently, the United States government has no plans to relocate any more Hmong refugees. Meanwhile, all the defendants in this case are being held without bail while waiting to go on trial, a trial which could, if they are found guilty, could have them spending the rest of their life in prison. Live at the federal courthouse, I'm David Bieniek. Back to you.
It's certainly a case that a lot of people are paying a lot of attention to, David. Thank you.
Exactly.
In court this afternoon, the general appeared frail in a wheelchair as defense attorneys sparred with federal prosecutors over conditions of bail. The federal judge decided on a $1.5 million bail. and that the general would be under house arrest with electronic monitoring, no computers, and very limited use of telephones. The defendants, nicknamed the Laotian 11, face possible life sentences for allegedly plotting the violent overthrow of the communist government of Laos, a violation of the U.S. Neutrality Act. And the defense attorneys are still in federal court. They're having an unusually late session. The judge said he'd go to 7 o'clock tonight until they go through all of the defendants who are present, who are trying to get conditions of bail. It appears that many of them will get various amounts of bail. One unusual occurrence today of Mr. Vu of Fresno, who's one of the defendants, actually collapsed. He was sitting in the jury box in the morning with many of the other defendants. He collapsed, had to be given oxygen. 911 was called. Paramedics removed him. His attorney tells me late today that he appears to be okay, did not suffer a stroke, but that his health has been shaky of late, and that he should be back in jail, should be back in court, rather, very shortly. Reporting live, I'm Tom Duhane. Back to you.
Ordered release from jail after making bond of $1.5 million yesterday.
KCRA3's Tom Duhane is on the scene for us. Tom?
Yeah, I'm right across the street from the jail, and Vang Pao was wheeled out in a wheelchair about 5:01. We have some videotape of that event. It happened very quickly. As expected, he was given an expedited release from the jail after the federal court approved conditions of the bail. His family had to put up 5 homes with equity equaling $1.5 million to get him out. He will be under house arrest at his home in Southern California with electronic monitoring 24 hours a day. He'll have no computer, no cell phone, no firearm allowed, and other conditions including that he has to surrender his passport and he can have no contact with the defendants. General Vang Pao, of course, as you've heard many times, a hero to the Hmong people and a fairly staunch ally of the U.S. during the Vietnam War. Now at 77 years of age, he is frail. His health is not good. He has diabetes and a heart condition, and the trial has been a difficult ordeal for him and his family. We just saw him whisked away in a white van. We do not know whether he will be allowed to stop at the U.S. federal courthouse, where a couple of hundred of his supporters have gathered. Suzanne Fon, my colleague there, just said there's no sign of him stopping yet. He may be going directly toward his house arrest. But no large crowd here, unlike yesterday. It was fairly quick and quiet. Back to you.
All right, Tom Duhane outside the Sacramento County Jail right now, and as Tom pointed out, we're going to keep an eye on the federal courthouse just a few blocks away from that county jail. We have a live picture from Live Copter 3 HD right now, and you can see there are some supporters of his appear to be lining up outside of the federal courthouse, where he may or may not stop off to speak. As Tom pointed out, General Pang is frail, has suffered from heart conditions after his arrest and being in jail. And Suzanne Fon is on the ground right now with more on the activities there. Suzanne?
Day long. So many times they have rallied for the general's release, and today that release is about to become a reality. Inside, the word is official. The federal judge has granted bail to all 11 defendants. Among those before the judge today, General Vang Pao, the alleged mastermind of the coup to overthrow the communist government of Laos. Lo Tao Sacramento also appeared before the judge today, as did Dang Vang, the author of Operation Popcorn. This afternoon, we heard from the general's attorney.
General Vang Pao is going to be released on a $1.5 million bond. We are very happy about that, obviously. And we know the Hmong community is overjoyed.
Among the joyous crowd, the general's family, his granddaughter spoke.
We're just looking forward to taking our grandpa home.
KCRA3 spoke one-on-one with the general's son, Francois Vang from Orange County.
Of course, the family is very happy.
Can you tell me one more thing? How is the general feeling? Have you talked to him?
I went talk to him yet, but I think he's feeling very good too.
Were you crying when you heard the news?
Some people cry, depending on the people, okay? But, I mean, the Hmong community is very happy.
And coming back live now, take a look at all these people in front of the courthouse right now. All these people coming down the steps here at the courthouse, everybody hoping to catch a glimpse of the general. We see flowers, we see people holding signs, everybody holding their cameras and video cameras over their head, everybody scrambling for a good vantage point. We see somebody trying to make their way, of course we imagine that's the general, towards a white minivan. Behind the minivan, it appears to be a police car ready to escort that person, the general, away. Now, as we continue to show you from the sky now, I want to also mention people are cheering, they are clapping, they're holding their hands over their heads, and you see the general just passing us right now, waving as his son drives him away, his son Francois. We spoke to him just moments ago. Francois, his son, very, very happy, of course, that his family's been released. Now we're going to send you right up to the chopper. Back to you.
Released on bail. KCRA3's Suzanne Fine is live at the courthouse with more on today's outpouring of emotion. Suzanne?
And Sarah, it is remarkable what a difference a few minutes makes. Just a few minutes ago, less than 30 minutes ago, this federal courthouse was packed with people and emotions exploded when the general's release became a reality. Raw emotion overwhelmed Asiv supporters who religiously showed up and rallied for the release of their Hmong hero, General Vang Pao. After being behind bars since June 4th, the general made his grand departure. He was released on $1.5 million bail. Cameras and crowds followed his every step, from the federal courthouse to the minivan waiting to whisk him away.
Now, Vang Pao's bail conditions are very specific. His bail is set at $1.5 million. The former Laotian general will be under strict house arrest. He will have to wear an electronic monitoring bracelet. He will not be allowed to use his cell phone, computer, or firearms. He must surrender his passport. Prosecutors worry he may flee, and he cannot have any contact with the other 10 defendants.